everyone, and welcome back to another Species Sunday video. Yeah boy. This week's video is going to be about Corydoras Panda, the much loved little Cory catfish that pretty much everyone's had a go of keeping. So, there's not a great deal, if anything, that you guys won't already know about these fish. They've been around in the hobby for a very long time. Probably one of the most kept species of Corydoras, but I'll feature them anyway. So they're native to parts of the upper Amazon, which is in Peru. Sadly, it's getting quite difficult to get hold of wild specimens in the hobby these days, which is a shame. They are mass produced on commercial farms, most of those being in the Far East as well, so it's not exactly local to where they come from, but needless to say, there are still some very good quality species about, so it's not all doom and gloom. They inhabit both clear and blackwater streams, so they're not just a heavily tannin stained species lover. They do have soft sandy substrates in their wild habitat, and some have actually been found over kind of like a clay type substrate, which is again very natural to where they're coming from. Now the thing with most Corydoras is they actually prefer the cooler waters. They don't like temperature very much. The pandas, which they're commonly known as, they tend to like it more so around the 19 to 21 degrees Celsius range, which for most tropical fish that's quite low, considering some other species that share the same kind of water temperatures are things like Posilia reticulata, other Corydoras species of course, fish like that. I certainly would not recommend putting these little guys in with discus for obvious reasons. They don't get very big at all. They get to around 5 centimeters total length. Total length meaning that this includes the tail fin. And because of the small size, they don't need a big tank. I would personally recommend a 24 by 12 by 12 for a small group of 6 to 8 of them. Bearing in mind that size tank is literally if you're only keeping these fish with no other sort of bottom dwellers. Maintaining them is really easy, since there's that much information on the internet these days. Anybody can replicate a loose Amazon biotope. I say loose because we're probably not able to get the exact driftwood and half of the plants and things found in the Amazon, but a substrate of sand, of course, driftwood, rooty branch type driftwood would be best here, with also the twisted root manzita kind of wood would look decent. Dry leaves. If you haven't already watched my video on collecting your own decor, go ahead and watch that. It'll give you tips on collecting your own oak leaves and things, so you can go out and get them for free. There aren't any plants found with panda cories, so you don't need to bother with live plants, but you can if you want to. And also, just to give it that final touch, filtering over a bit of peat so you can get a bit of tannic acid in the tank would also look pretty damn cool. The pH of where they're found ranges from 6 to 7.4. In my personal experience, anywhere from 7 to 7.5, 7.6 they seem to do pretty fine with. Obviously they like the water quite soft considering where they actually come from. Diet, they're omnivorous, So that pretty much means that they will eat anything that they can fit in their mouth. Personally, I feed small hickory micro pellets, granules, sorry. They relish New Era tropical fish flake, although they are now called Vitalis, not New Era. They like the frozen brine shrimp and the Daphnia, both frozen and live, so that's cool. They are not aggressive in any sense of the word, so they can be kept with pretty much anything in a community type setup. So small characins like cardinals and rummy-nosed tetras, smaller anabantoids like the dwarf gouramis. You could even put them with dwarf cichlids, like the many Apistogramma species available to us. As with all Corydoras, they do best in groups of 6 or more. I personally like to suggest groups of 8 to 12 if the tank size will allow. That's what I always advise to any customers coming out to see me about the possibility of purchasing fish that like to shoal. Purely because I find with Corydoras, if your group size is too small, you'll start running into problems. They go shy. I've experienced them to be more prone to illnesses when they're not in big enough groups. They're nowhere near as active. But the second you up that group size, they're never away. They're always out, messing about, swimming up and down the glass, swimming all around the ornaments, and just generally having a blast around your tank. Looks pretty cool. Sexing them is pretty easy, although it's... if you're not experienced with Corydoras, the best way to sex them is to get a white ice cream tub that's all cleaned out, obviously. Bit of tank water, net up your group of Corys and put them into this white ice cream tub, and then you look down on the tub. Females are way broader across the chest than males, and obviously they've got a more rounded and slightly larger belly as well. If you are experienced with Corydoras, you could probably just look at them head on, see the broad chest and large pronounced stomach, and away you go. Breeding them is pretty easy. They're an egg scattering species. Well, let me correct myself there. They are an egg depositor species. They're not an egg scatterer species because they don't and they won't just launch the eggs all over the tank. They actually deposit the eggs onto glass, onto spawning mops, onto sponge filters, heaters, anything. They deposit those eggs. They don't willy-nilly chuck them about everywhere. That's scattering. A lot of people make this mistake on saying, oh, they're an egg scatterer, but they're not. They're an egg depositor. I did spend quite some time researching this because it threw me off as well. Classic breeding behaviour for Corys, the T-bar position. They'll have a little dance around your tank performing the T-bar. Eggs will be deposited, and that's pretty much it without going into real technical terms of it all, since these videos are just little profile videos. They're not how to spawn them. If you want a how-to, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll get a how-to video posted up for you. That's not a problem. But they're not difficult to spawn. I'd say they were more difficult to raise the resulting fry than they were to spawn. So that just about covers it, guys. So as always, stay sexy, and I'll see you in another video soon. Ta-ra!